Today on the channel, it's a return to the Kyle Peterson Top 5, and in honor of Valentine's Day week, we're going to count down my top 5 King of Hearts, Owen Hart figures of all time.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, a Thursday tradition here on this channel, as every Thursday we're counting down my top 5 and occasionally top 10 favorites of something, and today we're back with another top 5 list, and in honor of Valentine's week, I said, what is a special top 5 we could do for Valentine's, and I went through the Rolodex of things we've done, and one performer stood out against the rest, and it was the King of Hearts himself. It is Owen Hart. Of course, Owen Hart of the famed Hart Foundation, Hart family. You guys know Owen Hart. I am sure you do. And we're finally getting recent figures via Jazzwares of Owen Hart. But you go back in time in the WWF, WWE, we also got some figures from Owen Hart. And when I looked at the list of Owen Hart figures, there was a little bit more than I was remembering for sure, especially during the Bone Cruncher era. So a lot of good Owen Hart figures over the year. Still a lot of Owen Hart looks we would love to have in action figure form, especially in the modern day scales. Hopefully one of those days those do happen, and it's been pretty quiet in the Jazzwares front as far as Owen Harts do go, but hopefully we get some more Owen Harts in the future. But as far as the future of this video, we're going to do it like all the other top 5 lists. We're going to start at number 5, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being my favorite Owen Hart figure of all time. Of course, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. So without further ado, let's kick it off at number 5. All right, we begin the countdown, of course, at number 5. And the number 5 collection comes from one of those recent Owen Hart figures from Jazzwares. We go to the AEW Unmatched Series 6 line for Owen Hart. So this Owen Hart is interesting. I'm going to call this 5 and 6 tie right here because basically the same figure to me. It just really comes down to, do you like blue or do you like red? Of course, the blue is the Chase edition, not the hardest chase in the world to find, but the exact same figures with different tight color is the only difference between the two. So I'm going to count these as number 5 and number 6, however you want to do it. A fun one to get back in business with Owen Hart, and like I said, we've had a few Owen Harts recently. I think there's a lot more dedicated looks we would like to see in the future, but this one, not bad for what it is, especially if you're a customizer. A lot of people, myself included, grabbed a head off one of these and put that on the Jim Neidhart body from his recent Legends release to make a bit more elite Owen Hart as well. So a little opportunities on this one as well outside of the normal just being Owen Hart figures here. But that's why Owen Hart Unmatched Series 6, both editions, come in at number 5 and 6. All right, we're at the number 4 spot, and number 4, once again, we're going to a recent release of one Owen Hart. We're going to AEW, we're going to Jazzwares, we're going to the Luminaries Collection Ringside Collectibles exclusive Owen Hart at number 4, and of course, got a regular edition, or I got an unboxed edition to go with a mint-on-card edition here. Really like the packaging style on this one as well. That's what really put it above the last one. But the figure's not bad as well with the nice jacket for him and, of course, the old Stampede title belt. Honestly, a little surprised we haven't seen more packaging like this from Jazzwares. This is a really nice packaging. Would be great for other Ringside exclusives maybe in the future. We'll see what happens there. But basically, it is your same Owen Hart figure, just a more of a throwback, if that is even possible. Different tight color, of course, the nice jacket, the title belt, the glasses, the extra head, a little of those bells and whistles right here. So it didn't really break the mold, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this came out first. They were about at the same time, but I think this came out first. But both good figures for what they are. Once again, a lot more looks we would like to have in the modern scale, modern day, but we'll take what we can get at this point, and the Ringside exclusive comes in at number 4. We've hit the middle of the countdown, dangerously close to the top spot. You got your list together? Put it in the comments down below. And of course, remember, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, as come March, we're celebrating the 5-year anniversary of the channel. If we can hit 50,000 subscribers by then, it's going to be close. We're going to do all kinds of giveaways in honor of the 5 years. So make sure you subscribe if you have not. Check out my other YouTube channel while you're at it as well. But here we are at number 3. And number 3 could be a lot higher on other people's list, but it's settled in pretty solid for me at number 3. Where are we going to? We're going to the old WWF Hasbro days for Owen Hart. Now, When you're a kid, when this came out, like I was, this was a whole different ball game. This is before Owen Hart really became Owen Hart. This was Owen Hart, younger brother of Brad, kind of a mid-card jobber type character, coming off his Blue Blazer run. This wasn't the Owen Hart we all think of near and dear, especially when you're a kid when this originally came out. This was a guy that was kind of like your Neidharts and your Coco Bewares, semi-jobber in your Fig Fed. So I don't have a lot of great memories of this one. If he was superhero Owen Hart, the King of Hearts Owen Hart, when this came out as a kid, I probably would have been a little bit more higher up the card, winning Intercontinental titles and stuff like that. But it is still very cool that he did get a Hasbro figure along the way. A very memorable figure, a figure a lot of us collectors do have. So this is a special figure. Maybe not as special back then as it is now, but it is still a good figure, and that's why it comes in at number 3 on my top 5 list. All right, we're at the number 2 spot on our Owen Hart top 5 countdown, and for the number 2 spot, we don't trust anybody, including Todd McFarlane over there on the couch, but we're going all the way back to the WWF Bone Cruncher days. Don't Trust Anybody Series 2 for Blue Blazer. The Blue Blazer in the house. Is it Owen Hart? Is it somebody else? I'm counting this as an Owen Hart figure, of course, but man, oh man. The Blue Blazer as a little kid, when I saw him for the first time on a VHS tape, I love the Blue Blazer. I was a little kid at the time. Then he went to Owen Hart. Then, of course, he did go back to it later in the 90s, and we remember the whole tragic instances of all that night in Kemper Arena, of course, which you don't need to get into for sure. But the Blue Blazer came back, and I like the idea of him being like, oh, is it really Owen? Is it not Owen? I enjoyed that. I know it wasn't for everybody, and I'm really glad we got a Blue Blazer figure out of that. I do think that is really cool, and especially for the Bone Cruncher days, you either love him or you hate him, it seems like. This is one of the best ones ever. I love the soft goods cape right here. They really took a lot of extra care and detail into this figure compared to a lot of the Bone Crunchers. We can all admit to that. So a lot of fun around this figure, and that's why it's number 2 in my top 5 list, which means there can only be one. What is the number 1 Owen Hart figure of all time as voted by me? Stay tuned. All right, we're at the number 1 spot in honor of the King of Hearts, in honor of Valentine's Day. The top 5 Owen Harts is going to commence here with our number 1 spot. But before we get there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Once again, don't forget to put your list in the comments down below. Interested to hear your top 5 list for Owen Hart figures. But man, oh man, here we are at number 1. Have to imagine a lot of other people have this at number 1. I guess it just depends on your age bracket, where you were, and what you like out of your figures as well. But number 1, we're going back to the WWF days. We're going to Bone Crunchers. We're going to Series 2 Owen Hart. And as far as playability, I will say the best Owen Hart figure of all time. Of course, I got one loose here as well. We did see this mold multiple times. We saw it with a little vest action, the leather vest. We saw it a lot of different ways over the years. So there is some other ones that are similar to this, but for nostalgic purposes and what I think of when I see this figure, I go back to Series 2 right here. There's also a 2-pack with Brett. There was a lot of different reuses out of this one, but this is the special one here. I love the Bone Crunchers, especially the early days of Bone Crunchers. It was such a big deal seeing those for the first time as Hasbro's were done and we had Bendies. Bendies weren't for me, so I was all but out of wrestling figures. Then one fateful day going to Toys R Us, seeing the Bone Crunchers, it was just an absolute game changer. And if you weren't there, you maybe don't understand that, but it was such a big deal at the time. Being excited for action figures again, getting Series 1 and then seeing Series 2 much later, just a great time to be a collector, a great time to be a fan of wrestling figures for sure. This one always holds a special place in my heart. Would love to see updated looks. I've said it, and it's the theme of this video. There's so many Owen Hart looks we would love to see in the modern day. Just sounds like that's probably not going to be possible, but you never know. Maybe one day we'll get it. But for me, clear as day, number 1 from the get-go for me was Bone Crunchers Series 2 Owen Hart. And that's the top 5 Owen Hart figures in honor of Valentine's Day here in 2025. Once again, want your list together, put it in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out the Patreon channel for even more content, much earlier, of course, over there. Tons of stuff to keep you busy. It's the best way to support the channel. Don't forget my book, The Complete Guide to the Jakks Class Superstar Series, available right now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and digitally. SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, and now on TikTok. So for the great Owen Hart, I'm Kyle. Happy Valentine's Day.